So let's go over your previous quiz, and then what we're going to do is we're going to compare it to what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to compare it to your previous the previous template you made with your continue pass break, right? So using this, you will operate you will analyze your loop. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is create a table with all variables and all your print statements. So first thing we do is like kind of draw a line here, okay, as such. And we'll just call this, the first one we'll call this iteration, right? So this is iteration. Iteration is your loop, okay? The second one we have a y variable. Then we have an x variable, okay? In our iteration, and then we have a print y variable, and then we have a print x variable. Okay. I'm sorry, a print x command. So what you can do now is you just simply make a line as such. Here and here. Okay. So how do we analyze this, right? So first thing you want to do is you want to draw on your paper. So what we look for is we have our for loop, and then we have an if. So let's look at the if. What happens in an if? We just simply go back to the loop. You see that? And then what we do is we type print only. You print only. Okay? Then what you do is you see again another loop here, right? And then another conditional here, and you simply wire this back again. So here this goes back, this goes back. So this should be on your cheat sheet ready to go. And again, this is also print only, right? Okay, so you label that. Okay? So now let's go to your continue. Okay, what happened in the continue function? Well, in the continue function, everything goes down to the continue, right? And it goes back to the loop, right? So now we can take the continue and go back to the loop. But after our continue, what happens is we ignore all this. So this area is just ignored. Okay? That's like here, it's ignored. Okay? And so if this is ignored, then we don't have to worry about this, right, as much. Or we can just leave it and see what happens, right? So let's start it. So once we establish this becomes very simple. First command is y equals 5. Is this within the loop structure? No. Okay? So your first is y equals 5. There. Okay? You put it up there. Now, what do you want to do is you want to go iteration 1. What happens in iteration 1? You know, x is 0. So x is 0. Is x less than 10? So what that means is the first iteration occurs 0 if x is less than 10. Okay, iteration 1. And now it enters a loop. What is the value of y? Is 5 less than 9? Yes, 5 is less than 9. So our y value is y plus x. So now 5 plus 0 is what? 5 plus 0 is equal to 5. Then what happens? I print what? 5. Print 5, right? And then what? It goes back to the loop. So now I add 1 to x. So x is 0, I add 1, right? Which is my counter. So let's just put a counter thing here. So let's just put my increment or counter. Okay. So my counter, x counter is a plus 1. Okay, so now 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay. Is 1 less than 10? Yes, so it enters the loop. Okay, now in iteration 2, we have to analyze this again. So is 5 less than 9? Yes, so we add 5 plus 1. So now this is 5, which is here, plus 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. I print y, which is 6. Okay? Again, I go back to the loop, which is back to counter. So if you follow this trail, it becomes simple. Then what I do is you go back and x is now plus 1 is 2. Is 2 less than 10? Yes, iteration 3. Okay? In iteration 3, okay, y is equal to y plus x. So y is now 6 plus 2. 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay? And now here 8, I'm sorry, I need to write a better 8 for you. Okay, 8. Print y, so I print 8. Okay? And now back to the loop again, plus 1. Okay? So now 2 plus 1 is 3. Is 3 less than 10? So is 3 less than 10 here? Yes. Since 3 is less than 10, right, my iteration is now 4. This is my 4th iteration because I have to enter the loop based on that condition. Okay, so now is 8 less than 9? Yes, that's true. So y is equal to y plus x, which is 8 plus 3, which is 11. Okay, 11. So 11, then I print 11. I go back. Okay, I go back here. So now I go back to the counter, plus 1. Okay? So here, again, 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 is 4 less than 10. Yes, this now is my 5th iteration. Okay, in my 5th iteration, what happens? Okay, what is the value of y? Right, my 5th iteration, come down, y. Y is now, is not less than 9. Okay, so it's not less than 9. What do? I go to else, because this cannot go through. As long as y is less than 9, this is valid. Now, 11 is not less than 9, so I go to continue. What happens in continue? Bam. Right back. So now it's a plus 1. So now, 4 plus 1 is 5. Is 5 less than 10? Yes, 6th iteration. So the iteration must hold. Okay? Now in the 6th iteration, right, what is the value of 5? What is the last value of y? It's still 11. It doesn't change. So you don't have to go all the way. Just keep it here. 11. So now that it's here at 11, I'll move this up. Okay? Is 11 less than 9? No, it goes back to continue. Again, it flies back up. So it totally skips this area. So now, plus 1. Again, 5 plus 1 is 6. As you can see at this point, 11, this value is not going to change, right? So is 6 less than 10? Yes. So a 7th iteration, right? And the 7th iteration, is my 11 less than 9? No. Else, continue back here. So now this makes it easier. So it's obviously going to always, all the way repeating, this whole thing is going to repeat all the way up to what? You know, iteration 1 to less than 10, which is going to be 10th iteration, which my x will be 9, right? And this will just be plus 1 all the way down. Okay, so this is the kind of method you solve this.